In this question, we're given a graph that represents the change in temperature of hot soup over time. Then we're asked which of the statements given is true. Well, let's start by interpreting the graph. Well, we can see that at time 0, as soon as we place it in the fridge, the temperature of the soup is 100 degrees Celsius. Now that makes sense because soup is probably boiling and the boiling point of water is 100 degrees. Next, we see that after 10 minutes, the temperature of the soup has dropped to about 67 degrees Celsius. Then from 10 to 30 minutes, the temperature of the soup drops to about, 33. And then from 30 to 50 minutes, the temperature drops to about 18, say, Celsius. And then from 50 to 80 minutes, the temperature drops to 10 degrees Celsius. Now, if we were to connect the dots here, let's say after the first 10 minutes, you can see that the slope of that line is quite steep. So the temperature is dropping rapidly at the beginning. Then from 10 minutes to 30 minutes, the slope is still fairly steep, but not as steep as the first 10 minutes. And then from 30 to 50, it's actually leveling off, and so the drop in temperature is not that severe. And then from 50 to 80, it's leveling off even more. What this means is that the rate of change is not constant, therefore it's nonlinear. And we would expect this kind of curve because a fridge, if you think about it, its temperature is probably around 2 degrees Celsius, probably around here. So the temperature of the fridge is remaining constant at about 2 degrees. And so at the beginning, the difference in temperature between the soup and the fridge is quite dramatic, so it'll drop quite rapidly. Then the difference after 10 minutes is not as dramatic, so it's going to be slowing down in its cooling, etc., all the way through till we start to see a trend where the soup is actually going to become the same temperature as the fridge. So you can imagine it's going to continue to level off and get close to the fridge temperature. Okay, let's take a look at the statements to see if we can find which one is true. Let's look at A. It says at 90 minutes the temperature of the soup will be 0 degrees Celsius. Well, 0 degrees Celsius is freezing, and as we've seen, the temperature of the fridge is constant at about 2 degrees, so it's never going to get to freezing. So right away we know that that's the wrong answer. All right. B, the temperature of the soup decreases at a constant rate. Well, we saw that earlier. The rate of change here is not constant, so therefore this is not the right answer. This is a nonlinear graph. Okay, let's take a look at C. It takes approximately 18 minutes for the soup to cool to half its original temperature. Well, its original temperature is 100 degrees Celsius, so half its original would be 50 degrees Celsius. And let's go over to our curve and see how long that takes. So we look over here and you can see it's just shy of 20 minutes. It cools to half its original temperature. So that's probably true. Yeah, it's about half its original temperature after about 18 minutes. So it looks like we got the right answer, but let's try D just to make sure. So D says there is a greater decrease in temperature between 50 and 80 minutes than between 10 and 30 minutes. So, well, let's look at the temperature at 50 minutes. It's about 18 degrees there, and the temperature at 80 minutes is 10, so the change in temperature here is about 8 degrees Celsius. Let's compare that to the change between 10 and 30 minutes. So that 10 minutes it's about 67, and after 30 minutes it's about 33. So that's a change in temperature of 34 degrees Celsius. So the greater decrease happens between 10 and 30, not 50 and 80. So we know that that's not the right answer. So we've confirmed that C is indeed the right answer.